Well, welcome to another episode of Manifesting Magically with Trevor and Anne. I'm Trevor, and with me is my good friend Anne. Anne, how are you?
I'm, it's been a tough week.
It
Otherwise, I'm doing fine. But yeah, I don't know. The East Wing being torn down really shook me on a personal level. How about you? How are you doing?
that was one of the sadder things that I have seen in a while because it felt like an attack on like the physical structure, I guess, right? What do you think of when you think of the United States? You think of, maybe the Capitol and the White House, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
pretty much it. And, it already feels like, you know, that person is tearing the country apart. So I guess physically having a representation of it just kind of really brought it home. I think is a good
Well,
way to put it.
yeah. And then you add to that, like, that's where the First Lady and future First Gentleman would do their work. And the fact that it's gone kind of signifies how little he thinks of other people's work and the importance of that stuff. Yeah, yeah. I'm sorry to start on such a dark note. This is kind of sad, but it's been a sad week, I feel like.
It's too bad if I throw some cards on this. Like, what? So I have been visualizing ways of trying to limit his damage, and I think I've come up with a good representation for that that we'll talk about here in a later. But let's just throw some cards. Like, um, should we ask just like maybe what can we do to make ourselves feel better during this time? Is
Well,
it, or do
it's
you want?
it's a complicated thing because we want to make ourselves feel better, but we also want to be able to stand up and protect democracy in a healthy way.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's difficult for us to do. We have to get outside of our comfort zone to do that.
Right. I mean, because really, what is it we can do? We can go to the No Kings protests, for example. We can, write our congressmen and women and senators but I mean, that doesn't always feel like it's the No Kings thing that did bring me some joy, but
That was
writing
wonderful, wasn't it?
it really was. But sometimes writing our representatives feel like we're just screaming into a vacuum, especially for me, because my congressman's a MAGA person, but um and my senators aren't much better. So let's just ask what can we do to defend democracy? Let's put it that way.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Well, I think we need to rest up, to be honest with you. I think we got to be ready for the big fight. And by that, of course, I don't mean a physical fight. I mean, voting, this types of activities, taking to the streets. If the government shut down much longer, I think people really are going to take to the streets in a mass way because, once they start, and I'm not trying to scare anybody, but, the consequences would be, losing housing benefits, losing SNAP benefits. There's going to be some real serious consequences if they don't get their stuff together. So I think we need to put our personal lives in balance as best we can. Now I know that's hard, but I think there's something to this idea of you can't help people if you're not healthy. Um, so resting up, eating well. I've been talking to coworkers and friends about making sure that we're taking our vitamin C and vitamins because COVID started again in our neck of the woods. So
Well, and
um,
other diseases too. I
very,
heard
very
lately
true.
our local high school has a foot and mouth thing going around. So,
That's not good.
no.
We do get the Six of Swords, though. I do think that I do really. I honestly believe, and things will be better soon. Now, soon is not going to be soon enough for most people, but it does feel like by the time we come around to the next 2026 election cycle, things are looking better. I feel like we have some support. I do think that, the person that currently occupies the White House that's committed several felonies uh, is probably not with us anymore. But as he goes through this transitional phase, and I know we want to talk about transitions, which is a more fun topic eventually, um, it's scarier, right? Because it feels like he's cognitively worse off, and we don't know
Very
what he's
much
going to
so.
say or do.
Yeah. And it can be really unsettling to not know because the boundaries that used to be there, the norms are all gone. Um, so we can't say how far he's willing to go, how many people he's willing to hurt to get what he wants.
Yeah. I think we get stability at the center of the reading, which I really like. I think, the Knight of Swords type of energy of feeling like you can't keep up with the news or even I mean, you can't. I mean, you
Well,
literally can't keep up with the news.
and it's not a bad idea to take a break every once in a while too. And I feel guilty for this, but I will admit I've stopped listening to the news uh, within the last week because it was affecting my health so much. It doesn't mean I don't look things up. I'll go online and I'll see the basics, but I don't listen for half an hour or an hour to hear what's going on because it's physically affected me and it affects my ability to get my rest, to be ready to interact with the world. And when you're physically ill, you can't participate in a meaningful way in life.
I mean, you've got it. I don't, with very few exceptions, I only read uh, the news. And if I feel like I need to watch a particular speech or whatever, I'll watch it without the commentary. Just to, and that's mostly for my Scrying Out Loud channel, right? That I'll watch something. Because his people have told me that his voice is piercing and in a very unhealthy way, and I find it to be that too. But I'm pretty good at putting up, protective bubble around me for a short period of time, but for a long period of time, it's tricky. So, the cards actually look pretty good. I think we're supposed to rest up, be ready. Ultimately, I think, things are going to be okay. We can only do what we can do, right? And, unfortunately, we're kind of on this boat and we don't really get to get off of it um right away. But, you know, it's hard to keep up with things, but the truth is we're going to come out okay on the other side, right? It's hard to believe that, but I really do. I do think we'll eventually head out of the trouble with the Six of Swords. And I think, in the environment around, it's kind of like we're just like in this chariot of like chaotic movement, right? Think about a chariot and all the bumps in the roads. That's kind of what it
Yep.
feels like.
It's been a very long 9 months.
It very much
10.
has.
Yeah.
But I think, having channels, and communities like the channels that I have and friends like you, and I think that helps, right? I really do. I think it kind of makes the juggling feel a little bit less like it's on our own. And I think what we're headed towards is more of a balanced kind of justice energy. And I've been saying this for a while, and you've known me for a long time. And um, you know, I like to think that I've been pretty accurate over the years. So I don't think that I'm wrong here. I just think that it's an uncomfortable energy and that, in another 6 months, things will start to really look better. And then in another 12 months, things will really look better. And then by the time we come around to the election in 2028 and have that, things will be a lot better. That's the way it feels to me. But, you know,
I
uh,
hope so. Your instincts are usually very, very correct on this stuff. Um, I guess the only thing is that for me, I have a lot of anxiety that's still going on in my gut, and it just isn't going away, and it won't for a while here until I start to see the light. Um, so I think for now, part of the resting up that I do is I make sure I have conversations with friends that are not about politics all the time. You know,
yeah.
we do talk about politics, but we also make sure those bonds are strong in other ways because then when it comes down to it, we can have those good conversations and we have those connections and we have that community that's so important.
Exactly. And when you and I just decided to start this channel, we decided that we would make it basically apolitical, but sometimes politics is life, right? That doesn't mean that our lives need to be consumed by it, but sometimes we can ignore it. But I think you're right. I think having conversations about, making soup and bread and all those fun things in life are very important. And
Well, and that's how we break barriers too, right? With our neighbors who may have different values than us. Is you connect over, like you said, that soup recipe or something, which it is getting to be soup weather. Now you have me thinking about food. Thank you so much. Um,
I know my feet are a bit chilly because whenever I read tarot, I don't wear shoes, as you know, and um and the tiles under the table are just a little bit chilly, so that's what made me think of soup. But so
well,
there you go. If my feet are
can
cold,
I?
I want soup.
I'm gonna extend on that. I got some wild rice in the freezer, so I think, and I just bought some chicken. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I guess I'm making chicken wild rice soup with craisins, of course, because that's the best. Um,
Wow. I
okay,
wished I
there
wished
we
I
go.
could get there in time to have some, but we do live too far apart for that. But I do have some soup left over from the last time we had soup that I put in the freezer, which is, I don't know if you do that, just make too much and then freeze it on purpose. I do that
All
all
the
the time.
time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
fantastic. So,
Yep. And
so
sharing that sort of a community with your neighbors, it takes the tension out of other conversations.
yes.
So when you get to the conversation about values and, you know, where's that line as far as government's role in our lives? What do we think about immigration or gun safety? We can tackle those topics with a little bit more grace and understanding and caring for those around us. Or at least that's the hope.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's a good 70% of people in this country that share the same values, right? I think that's probably accurate. I
I
think
think you're right.
I think there are 30% that are off into the conspiracy Wild West, but the person up the street generally wants their child to be safe, and that's the truth of it. Whether, you know, they understand the same viewpoint, that's a different story. But at the end of the day, the goal's the same, right?
Yeah.
So therefore, there should be something that can happen. So I don't know what you have for us today, Anne, but I have a little uh, kind of visualization thing that I came up with while uh, staring into my quartz crystal ball that I have. But do you want to start, and then I'll kind of prepare what I need to get ready for to do mine?
Sure. I actually think we might be somewhat similar. Um, so we're going to be talking about protection of democracy and the things that we value. And so I wanted to bring in, you could use a white candle as well. I decided I wanted to use black because I kind of want to banish those things that are harmful while at the same time bringing in the things that are joyous and good. And so I'm going to be using juniper berry essential oil. And, if you want to, you can use just a sprig of juniper if you have a juniper plant outside. The berries themselves, are interesting. You could use those as well. I do have some, but I decided not to put them in. They're more for male fertility. So that's a whole nother thing. Which means it probably would add some juice to your ritual a little bit, but yeah, I want to keep mine simple and I want to keep it, we want to go with small steps that can change the world and not punch our way through things necessarily. So I'm just going to put a little bit of oil, rub it around, and we're just going to visualize protection for our community and our democracy. If you want to, you could take a pen or an etching tool of some sort and etch something in the side, like the word democracy or protect. Um, in my head, I'm thinking about the White House because that still triggers me. It will for a while. I've seen that torn down. And so while that's not coming back up anytime soon, we do want to protect further destruction to everything that we hold dear. So we'll just put our hands over that and visualize it. And then we're going to light the candle. There we go. And we're just going to let that burn all the way down. And that's going to be our nice little protection for hopefully, hopefully help us get through the next few days.
I like that. Thank you. I do something a little bit different, but not really along the any other different lines, I could say. So I'm thinking about just confining his actions, right? Like if we could limit his actions, that I think would make me feel better. Now, obviously we can't go and physically limit actions, right? So I was thinking of a visualization of this, and so this kind of came to me, and um, we'll see if it works. But I'm just gonna draw like a figure here of a person. I'll pretend this is him, and then we'll write his name. Now, if that's a triggering thing, by no means do you have to do it, right? So that's
Well,
my
you could just
person.
call it the felon, and I'm curious why you aren't using orange as a color there to draw your figure.
Well, and it's because I don't have an orange pen on me, which that is a little bit surprising, but I do not. So I'm going to write his full name, including the middle name, and then I'm going to put his birthday here, which is let's see,
June 14th,
46, right?
1946. Yeah, we looked it up beforehand. This is not
Yeah.
information that anybody should have in their memory. Do not use gray cells on this.
Or his middle name either. Okay, so then we want him to go away, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, just figuratively, maybe literally, but for entertainment purposes only figuratively. So I'm going to fold away, and I'm going to, instead of turning clockwise, I'm going to turn counterclockwise and fold away. And then again, counterclockwise, fold away from me, and then continue to, and I'm just going to fold this twice so that it gets to the size that I would want. And so folding away is the important part there. And then I'm going to stick this in a little vitamin bottle. And now, because I don't want to make a mess, I'm going to use this paper plate. And I am going to, Anne, take some salt, which is good for protection, but I'll explain why here in just a second. What we're going to do is we're going to make like a potion, but we want it to taste really bad. So think about drinking salty water. It tastes really
Mm-hmm.
bad. So I'm adding some water and some salt, and I'm going to fill that almost to the top. I don't want to fill it to the top because I'm going to stick this in the freezer. And I am going to seal this with the lid. And then I am going to take my own black candle. And now I've already cleansed this before we started talking, where, you just squirt it with some Florida water or whatever you want. And we're going to light our candle. And we're just going to let the wax drip to seal this, assuming I could keep the candle lit without making it. And so once you have this wax over and it's sealed, I'm going to stick this in the back of the freezer. And the idea of the visualization is that he's now confined, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I don't know why, that just kind of is what I thought might help me at least visualize it. And then every day I'm going to think about, you know, hopefully limiting his actions that are harmful. Um, so now, we could take this forever to do this, but I'll finish doing this and then, but the idea is that the salt water would be unpalatable, right? So it's like a confining thing.
I
Um,
like it.
and then I would put this in the back of the freezer because we don't want it on the forefront of our mind, right? We don't want him to take over our lives. And um, yeah, that's what I came up with. And then, probably before I put it in the freezer, I'll just put my hands around it and I'll just be like, keep his actions from harming our democracy, and just say that a few times and then stick it in the freezer and forget about it. So
Hmm.
yeah. Well, Anne, hopefully when we chat again, we'll have something fun to talk about and not our yeah.
Yeah. Well, the stuff is important. So it's good to have these conversations, even though they are stressful. And hopefully, we've provided a couple ways to relieve that stress and make you feel a little bit more comfortable, or feel like you can do something about the world and not just let it roll over you. Um, yeah.
Exactly. I think having an action to do is helpful.
I agree. It's good to have something that you are actively doing that can just help you move through your day, and it can help you motivate you in the future, to get up and go to rallies and protests and to go out and encourage people to vote when the time comes. And that's, going to come up pretty soon here. So,
Yeah, we'll definitely have more about the election. I think I have some election fairness magic that we can talk about as well. So, well, Anne, I hope you enjoy your chicken and wild rice soup. It sounds delicious. And I am looking forward to warming up some soup and sitting on the couch with a comfy blanket and enjoying the day because it's been a long week.
that sounds lovely. I wish you a cat on your feet.
Thank you, my friend. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. And thank you, everybody at home, for watching. And please like and subscribe. We would really appreciate it. All
Thank you,
right.
everyone.
Bye bye.
Bye.